Today on today on Unleash Your Potential, we have Kelly Cleeve. Kelly is a four-time author who explores the topics of resilience and mental health. By sharing her own vulnerability through hilarious, moving, and inspirational stories about her life, she hopes to spark a conversation about the immense weight women carry on their shoulders. Kelly is a professor at the University of British Columbia and the head writer at Empire Thought Leadership. Please welcome to the show, Kelly Cleeve. I'm your host, Brittani Starr, and remember to always stay magical, my friends. The title of her book is I Am the Sky. It's stories of love, family, and life's unpredictability. This book is a love letter of her life and her mental health. It shares snapshots of life's hilarity, despair, and unpredictability in the hopes that we can normalize and ultimately embrace the ups and downs of this world. Now let's unleash our potential with Kelly Cleeve. Okay. So I'm going to do, I want to keep you guys informed of everything. So I am doing a video recording to make this a little bit easier, and I'm going to send it out in the newsletter, and probably put it maybe unlisted on the YouTube channel. Um, there's a lot of changes going on in my life personally. I'm not ready to share everything yet, but I'm very excited about what is on the burner currently and what's coming. Um, I'm continuing with conversations with indie authors. I'm not taking on as many. I'm being a little bit more picky because I want to support as many indie authors as possible in the best ways possible. So I am changing the quality of what I bring you, such as the Night Rider series. This is going to be a streaming series on our YouTube channel, Zarlequan. Um, if it takes off, perhaps I'll make its own channel. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm finding indie authors, and I'm going to um, do a giveaway where a you win a season. So you win a season of Knight Rider, and that is you're going to win a season of Knight Rider. One lucky indie author is going to win a season of Knight Rider, and that I want to show that we can share like personal development stories, and memoirs just as well as we can some exciting science fiction or fantasy, or thriller novel. I'm going to do it in the spirit of some childhood shows that I used to watch. And so some of it might be narration with dramatic reenactment, and some is going to have some video footage over top. I just really want to share your independent story with everyone in a way that is fun, entertaining, and engaging. Um, Masculine Mindset is here. It has started. We only have a few episodes. We have some recording and some being edited, so there will be more. Brad is really getting his footing and figuring out where he wants to take this podcast, but we both feel that it is an important contribution. These books here. These books here are the books that independent authors have sent me. If you send me one, I will add them to the collection. They will be right here for everyone to see in every episode of Conversations with Indie Authors. I love independent creators and leaders of all walks of life. So what I'd really like is if you are an independent creator of any kind, say you're a dancer, uh, you're a music artist, I want you to come on the show. I want to meet you and I want to share your work with others. Um, I'm going to start doing the Brittani Starr show more solo. I will have guests on, but they're going to be less. I'm going to, and when I do bring someone on, I want them to be an expert and someone that I have worked really hard with, and we have come together to share important things with you. I'm working on some great shows for you right now. Um, but the Knight Rider is going to be a very significant part of Zarlequan. I I want us to build a community. I want this to be a really beautiful community of independent individuals that, I think the world would be better if money didn't exist and we all did what we were passionate about. I have lived such an interesting life because I kind of go where things take me. I can't take someone's word for something. I have to experience it myself. And that comes off in everything I do. Um, I I am passionate about Zarlequan, and the interesting thing is I am already being acknowledged, but I haven't even started advertising yet. I keep wanting to give you more quality. I want the quality to be there. I am offering um, voice acting services, so narration for your book. If you're interested in having me narrate your book, you can have me narrate your book. Brad Schuler also offers that service. Um, I want independent creators, authors, and leaders of this world to feel empowered, not having some corporation behind them. And even if this takes off and we start making a ton of money, I have every intention of putting it back into you guys. I will make better quality. I will offer more quality because honestly, the answer is always going to come to quality. So I hope that you will come and explore what Zarlequan has to offer if you are an independent author, creator, or leader of, because this is your home for independent authors, creators, and leaders from all over the world. The seven principles. The Seven Principles, a guide for living a joyful life. Zarlequan.com. Brittani Starr, founder of Zarlequan. Brittani is a visionary artist, writer, musician, and entrepreneur who is known for her creation of Zarlequan, an intuitive community that promotes personal growth and living intuitively. She first had the idea of Zarlequan in 2017 and began to develop it through her music, creating songs that captured the essence of the kingdom and its people. Her vision grew. Brittani decided to bring Zarlequan to life for everyone by purchasing a homestead and naming it Zarlequan. The homestead serves as a physical manifestation of the community, providing a space for people to connect and learn from each other. In addition to her work with Zarlequan, Brittani is also the author of The Gnosis of Zarlequan, a book that explores the teachings and traditions of the intuitive kingdom. The book is a culmination of Brittani's own experiences and insights, as well as the wisdom of the people she has met through her work with Zarlequan. Brittani's vision for Zarlequan is one of love, community, and personal growth. She believes that by living intuitively and connecting with others, we can create a world that is more harmonious and in tune with our true nature. Through her music, writing, and homestead, she is working to bring this vision to life, inspiring others to live their lives in a more intuitive and connected way. Introduction. Life can be unpredictable, and it's not always easy to navigate the ups and downs. By incorporating a few key principles into our lives, we can improve our overall well being, increase our resilience, and learn to thrive in the face of adversity. In this book, we'll explore 7 principles that can help you live a more fulfilling and satisfying life. From setting boundaries and practicing gratitude to prioritizing self care and rising up in the face of challenges, these principles are designed to help you navigate life's twists and turns with greater ease and confidence. Whether you're struggling with stress, feeling overwhelmed, or simply looking for ways to improve your quality of life, this book offers practical tips and insights to help you live your best life. So let's dive in and explore how these principles can help you to create a happier, healthier, and more fulfilling life. Chapter 1: Respectful Communication. The Principles. In today's world where stress and conflict seem to be ever present, it's more important than ever. It's more important than ever to create it's more important than ever to cultivate positive relationships and healthy habits. That's where the 7 principles of respectful communication, boundaries, respect, grace, self-care, and and taking time out and rising come in. These principles are not just words, but powerful tools that can help us build stronger connections with others, take care of ourselves, and overcome challenges. By incorporating these principles into our daily lives, we can create a more positive and fulfilling existence for ourselves and those around us. Let's take a closer look at each of these principles and explore how they can help us lead and happier, more meaningful lives. Respectful communication is essential in building and maintaining healthy relationships. It involves treating others with dignity and acknowledging their feelings, perspectives, and needs. When we communicate respectfully, we create an environment where individuals feel heard, valued, and respected. This in turn fosters trust, empathy, and understanding, which are fundamental to any healthy relationship. One aspect of respect One aspect of respectful communication is speaking kindly and truthfully. This means communicating in a way that is non-judgmental, non-threatening, and empathetic. It involves using language that is respectful and avoids attacking or belittling the other person. When we speak kindly, we show that we care about the other person's feelings and are willing to listen to their perspective. Another critical aspect of respectful communication is actively listening. This means paying attention to what the other person is saying, acknowledging their feelings, and responding in a way that shows that we understand and care. Active listening requires being fully present and avoiding distractions such as phones or other devices. It also involves asking questions and clarifying any misunderstandings. Finally, respectful communication involves valuing the thoughts and feelings of others. This means recognizing that everyone has a unique perspective and experience and being open to learning from others. It involves setting aside our own biases and assumptions and being willing to see things from a different perspective. When we value the thoughts and feelings of others, we create an environment where individuals feel heard, respected, and valued. Healthy relationships. Overall, practicing respectful communication is essential in building and maintaining healthy relationships. By speaking kindly and truthfully, actively listening and valuing the thoughts and feelings of others, we can create an environment of trust, empathy, and understanding, leading to more positive and fulfilling relationships. Principle 2, boundaries are beautiful. Boundaries are an essential component of healthy relationships as they provide a clear framework for how we interact with others.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Where are you? What part of the world are you in?
Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, you're not actually that crazy far from me. I'm in Northeast Washington State. So
Oh, okay. Are
yeah.
you all unseasonably cold as well?
It's warmed up a little bit now. And now we finally have snow because we were really warm this whole winter and it finally just started snowing recently.
And causing mass chaos.
Yes, of course, you
Yeah,
know.
us West Coasters don't do well with the snow.
I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. But yeah, I already recorded your intro.
Oh, fantastic.
No, that's there. That's funny. Okay. Um, but let's see. So you talk about resilience, and you know what? I wanted to talk to you about that because what is resilience? I've had people on, and one lady, her book series is called Resilient AF, and then right, I'm
Love
like
it.
that's great. And we're talking. She has Crohn's disease and chronic illness, and she has just an amazing story to share. And I've met a woman, like she's in her early 50s and she's had a stroke and she's like, I keep being called resilient. And like, what does this really even mean? Like, I didn't have a choice to go through the things I went through. I just did it.
Yeah, I mean, life is going to happen to us in a number of ways. That's just inevitable. That something's going to come along and knock us off our feet. And to me, resilience is the ability to keep getting back up. And it's not about being knocked down, because we're all going to face that at a certain point. It's how quick you get back up, the attitude through which you view that knockdown, whether you see it as something that really just sends you into a tailspin, or if you can find a lesson within all of that and a way to grow from it. That's what resilience is to me.
I would agree. It is about getting back up. But I think there is also, even with resilience, I think there is a point where something happens and you're allowed to feel that thing happening. You're allowed to take the time to really evaluate it. I think the going like, okay, I'm going to use this, like in leadership meetings, we talk about, using adversity to propel you towards success. But sometimes you take a minute to go, oh, this sucks. This is really awful. Oh my gosh, I just went through this horrific thing, and now then later on, you can see the lesson, you can be grateful. Like, I don't think you're grateful right away when you're in a car accident. It's a little bit ways down, down the road that you have gone through a few things and seen a difference and seen how you can use that to your advantage.
You're so right. And that's been a huge part of my own learning and unlearning journey. I come from a stiff British upper lip background, which was like, you're okay, and happy smile. We called it the game face, where if you're going to go out in public, you put on your game face. Everything is fine. You are strong. And the message that was implicitly sent to me in my upbringing was the only emotions that were okay were ones of happiness and fortitude and gratitude. And the other more uncomfortable emotions, that really like feeling in to the hard stuff, that was the opposite of strength. And so for me, it took well into my 40s even to be able to really sit with any given situation and allow myself space to say, this sucks. And I'm sad, or I'm really upset, or I don't know what comes after this. And through a lot of counseling, I've learned to just marinate in that uncomfortable space and allow the feelings. Um, I tend to still move through them pretty quickly, but like I said, it's a learning and an unlearning journey, and I'm not there yet. But I do love that society is shifting now to this whole messaging that it's okay to not be okay.
I love that we are all about personal development in entrepreneurship, in business, in leadership. Right now, it's very much in every relationship. You have to heal yourself. You have to figure out what your subconscious triggers are. You have to work on yourself so that you can be better in this world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what is so funny is that with social media, there has been a shift in the trend, I think, where it's more authentic now. I really struggled with social media for a long time because all you see is the very best snapshots of people's lives. Their business is thriving, their kids are amazing, they're going to the gym. And I'm sitting there going, I haven't done laundry in 3 weeks. I don't know where my next project is coming from. My kids had cereal for dinner. So I think I love the shift in the honesty and authenticity and vulnerability now that we're seeing in all kinds of media.
I agree. Kelly, can you go back to the beginning and tell us what started you on this journey of sharing and, wanting to be here and talking about resilience and mental health, especially for women?
Absolutely. So turning 40 to me was a really hard season. I had always thought when I was 40, I was going to be a grown ass woman. I was going to have everything together. And what I found was that I was in a season where everything felt like it was changing, like I was changing internally. My career was changing, my parenting was changing, and I didn't know what came next. And so instead of having it all together, I felt like everything was falling apart. And so for me, I have a really hard time with vulnerability. Again, it was a product of how I was raised. And I thought, what is the biggest, scariest thing I can do right now? Well, I can just put my story out there and hopefully normalize the fact that, life isn't easy, nor is it meant to be. And again, this was in the time when social media was all bright and shiny and everybody was happy all the time. And I was sitting there thinking, well, I'm not bright and shiny. I'm not happy. Like, what is wrong with me? And the more people I talked to just in private conversations, the more I realized, okay, everybody's feeling the way that I'm feeling, but nobody is talking about it. So, what I really wanted to do in writing my first book was just lead with my own mess and hopefully create that space where people feel comfortable to admit, like, I'm a mess too. And the messy middle has some value to it. Because in the messy middle, we really figure out what's important to us, who we want to be, how we want to show up. And I also think that's where the most authentic connections are made with people.
In sharing, the difficulties?
Yeah, I often had girlfriends who would say to me, Kelly, it's okay if you're having a bad day. Like, we want to hear about that too. And in sharing my bad day and sharing the things that I've struggled with, it just opens up a space where people can reciprocate, where people also feel like they see the real version of you. And that just makes for really deep, meaningful conversations. And I think there's something beautiful about a give and take when we can support each other. But that takes honesty, because I was always the girl who was like, I'm good. I'm fine. I went through a divorce and my friends thought I was fine through the whole way because I was like, no, I've got this. It's totally fine. And only in looking back, I can see like, oh, I really wish that I had been honest and open and vulnerable and told people how scared I was and how much I was hurting, because that would have served me, but also it would have deepened my friendships.
I can see that, I can see that. Can you talk about pardon me, um, because 'cause I've been vulnerable, and I know everyone has, and it hasn't got a good result. Like,
Hmm.
someone was rude, like, they were super mean, didn't care, and they were made fun of you or, talked down to you or like, "Oh, that would never happen," or whatever the case may be. But sometimes vulnerability doesn't go, because I've watched that. It doesn't go quite the way you planned it to.
You're right. And for me, that is a surefire sign that those people are not my people. Right. And I'm at the age, I don't know about you, but I'm at the age where I want friends who are good friends, and I don't need a lot of friends. I want a few really stellar people who are going to show up for me. And if I'm going to share something with you and you're not going to hold space for it, then you are not my person. And that's okay. All the power to you.
I completely agree with that. That's funny. I was talking to my husband actually this morning, about that. Him and I are very different. He's more of a people pleaser, I think, because I've gone through so much in my life. Like, I was, I don't need to talk about that, but I have a different perspective. Mine is, I don't care if you're family. I don't care who you are. You don't get to treat me in ways I don't find acceptable. And if you're
Hallelujah.
you have to leave, like, and
Yeah.
that's it. Like, I just I've been through enough in my life to not I'm not gonna fight with you. I don't, I wish you the best and I hope you heal. I can't be involved in that process right now.
That takes such a strength and a wisdom and assuredness in yourself. I think it's so admirable. And as women, we were raised, right, as little girls to be likable above all else. And so it takes a lot of learning, I think, to get to the place where you can say, you don't have to like me. And I'm okay with that.
Mhm. I've made people not very happy doing that. Like, I don't understand. Why won't you be friends with me? And I'm like, I wish you the best.
And you stayed true to yourself. And how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Because when we're people pleasing, we're inevitably giving away part of our soul and not being true to ourselves. We're putting their needs above our needs.
Mhm. Well, and we're the only ones in control of our
Mhm.
own lives, and what we allow is what's going to be there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm used to getting a lot of flack because I have a completely different outlook on raising children as well. I think that how on earth can they just turn 18 never having practiced a bunch of these skills like boundaries? If they're not allowed to have boundaries as a child, how on earth do they turn 18 on that day? They just suddenly know how to use them. My job is to show them here's what boundaries are. You're allowed to have your boundaries because you have personal autonomy. That's your own space. If you tell me no, I don't get to hug you. I don't care
Mhm.
if I am your mom because that's your own space. That's your
Mhm.
body. That I don't have that control. I also have taught them they don't have to respect every single adult because simply that they're an adult. You need to use your intuition and say, is this valuable? And if it's not, be respectful, but you don't have to do it.
So good. So good. And also to create space for them to fail and develop their own result. My son is 6 months away from turning 18. So he's graduating high school this June. And girl, it is so hard to watch him fail. But I think, you know what? In 6 months, he might not be living in my home and I won't be around to protect him. So it is this really like bittersweet thing where I know he's walking down a path that's heading towards disaster. And I have to just let it happen
Mm.
and then sit with him after and say, okay, what did you learn?
Yeah.
What did you learn from this?
It is super hard, but I think that's honestly our job. Like that's
Yes.
we have to give them that space. And I tell my kids all the time, failure is the path to success. If you don't
Yes.
allow yourself to fail, you will never learn valuable, amazing things.
Right. And just to be really transparent with them in our own failures too. Like I recently in the last months have gone out of government work and started to work for myself and just devote
Congratulations.
my life to writing. And that was risky and not an easy path. And so I sat down with my kids because I wanted to be really transparent. And I said, you know, I was at the top of my professional game. I was making good money. I had a pension. I had like all the things a girl could ask for, but it wasn't fulfilling. And now I'm choosing this path that's really uncertain. And it probably means we're going to be financially like a little bit tight for the next year, maybe. But here's the reasons why I'm doing it. And so now at the dinner table, we talk about like, we celebrate the clients that I've signed. We talk about the fears that I have and the guilt that I have. Like, no, you can't go and do this thing on the weekend because I don't have money right now. So being transparent with my own fears, my own failures, and modeling a life that has some risk element to it in the pursuit of passion and fulfillment,
Mm.
I think that's really, really important to do with your kids.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. That's one of my biggest drivers is I always look, would I want this for my son? Would I want this for
Yes.
my daughter? Would I want them to live this way? Okay. Well, now I have to figure out, well, what am I doing with my life?
Exactly.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons looking back, I ask that question all the time too of myself. That's one of the reasons why I left my first marriage. And my kids at the time were too young to have the conversation.
Mm.
But in my brain, I thought, would I want my son in a marriage like this? No, I wouldn't. And now I can sit down with them and say, that was a really hard choice. It put all of us in a lot of pain. But at the end of the day, I'm modeling what marriage looks like. I'm modeling what love should be, how we treat the person we choose to spend our lives with. And so, what a blessing it is now for them to be able to sit down and have that conversation about love and relationships, and to understand that resilience is inevitably built into that too, because there's always hurt and love, like they're just wrapped around each other like little wires, you know?
Mhm.
The people we love most have the most potential to hurt us.
Of course. Because they know it's the most vulnerable.
Exactly.
Mhm. No, actually, there's been funny enough, I live on top of a mountain, really. And so, where I am located tends to be extremely conservative. And so
Hmm.
my beliefs and thoughts and the way I go about the world is very foreign to pretty much everyone around me.
How interesting.
Right? I mean, I can't see a neighbor where I live, but when I go to town, which is like an hour away, it's, very, very much like, my husband does most of the cooking. He's the one that takes care of the kids most of the time. A lot of the time, I take care of the kids too, but he can't talk like that in, public around other people or in this town
Mm.
anyways. It is, very different, and so he has to act a little bit different. He doesn't have to. I'm like, me, I'm the opposite. I'm like, "You don't like me, don't talk to me. You don't have to be."
Yeah.
This is who I am. Like, I'm pretty but he's more I don't know, um he doesn't like to offend people, and I don't
Mm.
try to offend people, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not gonna compromise who I am to make
Sure.
you feel better. Like,
Yep.
that's where I'm coming. So I'm like, I just, um, and I have a threshold. Like, don't treat me that way, and and
And
you're allowed to
so
make
should we all.
That's exactly what I want with my children. Like my daughter, she's very good at when an authority figure gives her instruction or tells her something, she's like, "Okay, yes sir, yes ma'am, whatever." And then she's like, "No." So, I'm proud of her. She's 16, she's dating, she's really and we have open conversations like, you get to choose what you do in this relationship,
Mhm.
whoever, how they you are in complete control cuz I should have taught you by now what love looks like, how that's supposed to feel, boundaries. I'm very big on boundaries. You get to choose your boundaries. And so I've been with her on this journey and it's really interesting. I'm very proud of her. Like I'm very proud of the decision she's making, but I do get a lot of flack in this small town that I'm knowingly allowing my daughter to have a boyfriend. And
Mm. Well, and aren't those conversations you wish you had had with your parents when you were a teenager?
I grew up extremely conservative Christian in the deep South. And so no, I wasn't allowed to wear the things she wears. I was not allowed to have these conversations. No, we did not have any of these conversations. I did My husband and I talk about it all the time. We went in blind. Like I try to really let
Mhm.
my kids know like here is what I know about life. Watch out for these things, and we didn't have any of these discussions growing up. Like these, your period, that's a private thing, you don't discuss it. I'm like, "Well,"
Yes.
I learned on the bus from other people, and a lot of the information was wildly inaccurate. Like
Yeah, it's incredible the conversations that we're having now and how far we've come just in one generation. I didn't have any of those conversations with my folks.
Mhm.
And I can remember talking to my boys when they were toddlers about, love is love. And you have to just treat people with respect
Yeah.
and be treated with respect. We talked about sex and women having their periods and, gosh, consent, because I'm raising young men. We've had many conversations about consent. And I'm so grateful that they can sit and have those conversations with me. And it's all things that I had to figure out the hard way more often than not. So if we can save them some of that heartache, my gosh, why wouldn't we?
And I hope they get a head start. I hope they
Yes.
are able to do so much better than I was able.
Well, they're so much wiser than my kids at, almost 18 and 15 are so much wiser. I was so naive back then. And they also have so much more access to information than we did. But I just think the way that they're walking through the world and the confidence that they, emanate is because we've empowered them.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's important. That is super important. Like, I wanted to talk about your women who are feeling overwhelmed by trying to be everything for everyone.
Said every woman ever.
I don't
Did you see the Barbie movie?
I did not.
Okay, so it was shockingly profound, actually. And there's this one monologue that America Ferrera goes on where she talks about what it's like to be a woman in today's society. And it was, be thin, but not too thin, because then people will question your health. Be sexy, but not so sexy that it threatens your man. Be smart, but don't be overtly smart because that's super intimidating. So it went on for, 90 seconds or 2 minutes on this really like the polarity of being a woman and how exhausting it is. How exhausting it is. And I have the perfect story about 5 years ago. I went back to school and was doing my master's degree and was also working full time because my husband had lost his job and was doing all the mumming that, and still trying to have a social life. I was trying to do all the things, and it spiraled into me having this massive panic attack. And it was the first panic attack I'd ever had. I thought I was dying. I went to the hospital and they were like, no, you just need a break, lady. So the next day, my husband says, I will take the kids out for a couple hours. I want you to just rest. And I was like, bless his soul. So I'm sitting in our living room with a cup of coffee and a blanket, and I'm resting. And I start to look around and I'm like, oh, that's like quite dusty in here. And then I get up and I start tidying the house. And then I start rearranging furniture. And my husband came home and he was like, what are you? And I was like, I have a problem. Like, I was so lost that I didn't know how to relax because I had been burning the candle at both ends for so long. I didn't even know what it felt like to take care of myself anymore and to give myself permission to not have to be all the things all the time. And I think a lot of women can relate to that. And also we do all the things because it's just easier and we can do it better and we know how it's done and how it should be. But then we also are resentful at the same time that we have to do all the things all the time.
Yeah. Well, because it feels like a lot of work to explain that and give you diagrams and out a perfect, toolbox to understand what I do need, that it's easier to do it myself a lot of the times. Or have an
Yeah.
argument with someone, "Well, that's not the way I wanna do it." Oh my goodness.
But you know what I realized is that all my kids want is a mom who's happy.
Mhm.
All my husband wants is a wife who's sane. And they don't care if the house is messy. Right? So one of the best things I've learned in the last couple of years is to ask for help. And also what it's done is created this really different atmosphere and dynamic in my house where everybody knows that they're important and everybody feels valued for their contributions. So my kids now, they each have a night per week where they cook dinner. And sometimes the dinner is less than edible, but I didn't have to cook it. Right. And then on Sundays, we all clean the house. Or I'm not afraid to say to the kids, like, I can't go to your soccer game today because mama is exhausted.
Mm.
And just to give myself permission to just let go of control shows a level of trust that I have in them, that they'll be fine if I don't go to their soccer game. That dinner was gross, but that's okay. It's a learning experience, right? And that we all need to take care of each other. It is not my sole responsibility, because again, I'm showing them what it's like to be in a family dynamic. Are they then going to go on and get married or be in a relationship and expect their partner to do all the things for them? So it was such an interesting revelation that I had, that in my wanting to do it all, to be everything, I was actually being less than, because I wasn't showing up as my best self. And that's all they really want at the end of the day.
That is a really good lesson, honestly. I realized that my daughters even told me that, "Mom, I just
Mm,
want to see you happy." Like,
yeah. Yeah.
it's important. Um, you have how many total books? Because your book is I Am the Sky. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure, that's the latest. I have 4 books now. I Am the Sky is the most recent one, and it really is just a love letter to my life and my mental health. It is, I heard this beautiful metaphor that I really resonated with, in that our emotions are just weather. It is one day, it is dark and stormy. Another day, the clouds are beautiful and fluffy and white. Some days it's just really gray and melancholy. But we are not the weather. We are the sky. We're the brilliant blue canvas that lies beneath all of that. The weather comes in and the weather goes out, but the beauty of who we are always lies beneath. And so for me, that was a gorgeous metaphor for life. Life is amazing and terrifying and heartbreaking and inspiring. And we need to embrace all of it. Because if we just try and focus on, the good things, we're missing out on the beauty and the growth and the evolution that comes from the hard stuff. So the new book is just a series of essays, some of them comical and ridiculous, some of them about parenting, some of them about love and marriage. There's some really, really hard moments that I share in there as well. But it's just an encouragement to people to embrace all of your life, because it all adds value.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. What is your next project? What are you working on next?
Great question, because I'm so excited about what I'm working on next. I've the last couple of months been in a season full of transitions. I transitioned my work, as I mentioned. My oldest is graduating high school, and there's a surprising mourning that comes with that. Feels like the worst breakup ever. I'm in perimenopause, like all the things created this swirly storm um, that caused me to not show up for my own life for a couple of months. I was like, I didn't put on pants, Brittany, for like 4 months. I was just living in my pajamas. And I had this revelation after a really hard conversation with my husband, where he sat me down and said, "You are not showing up for life. And it's frustrating, and I'm done."
Mm.
And as soon as those words left his face, I was like, how dare you? And also, oh my God, it's so true. So true. So, all of that to say, my word for 2024 is adventure, because I want to curate a life that I am madly in love with. And I want to spend the year in rediscovery of myself. I've spent the last 2 decades with my head down in my career, nurturing my kids, focusing on my marriage, and I have forgotten to live my own life. So I'm going to spend 2024 figuring out who I am, what I love, what brings me joy, going on adventures, having fun for fun's sake, and I'm going to write about it. So that's the next book, is this year of rediscovery and falling in love with me. So it'll be a while before that one comes out, but I'm like already so very excited about it. And I think a lot of women in their late 40s, early 50s, that naturally is a season of transition for a lot of us. So I'm hoping that a lot of us resonate with what I'm going through.
Oh, I definitely resonate with that. We are in the midst of a lot of transitions ourselves. So everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I want to date myself and write about it.
that's pretty much what I've been talking about with my husband as well. That's funny. He's like, yeah, baby, let's do that. So if anybody else resonated with this, how can they find you online?
Okay, so my website is kellycleeve.com. They can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook under Kelly Cleeve.
Which one are you more active on? Both of them?
I would say both of them equally. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you'll obviously announce your projects on those whenever they come out.
I'll announce my projects when they come out. I'm doing a bi-weekly blog, which I publish on my Facebook page and also on my website. And it's kind of snapshots of, it's called the WTF 40s, because it's just snapshots of my life and what I'm going through and what I'm excited about and what I'm pondering and confused about. And yeah, please follow me online.
I love it. I will go follow you online. Absolutely. That
Fantastic.
sounds great. I definitely resonated with all this. I think my audience will as well. I'm excited to share this with them. Thank you for coming on today and sharing such valuable information and sharing your vulnerability with all of us so that we can know that it's okay to be going through these things and we're not alone.
Thank you for having me, Brittany. It's such a privilege to sit here and talk to you and to your audience and to connect with people on things that are really meaningful and authentic. So thanks for giving me the space.
Yes, and let me know when your next book comes out. I know it's going to be a minute, but I'd love for you to come back and share that one with us as well.
Absolutely, I will.
All right, I'm gonna get these edited. Yours will be up on a Sunday. I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one right now.
Okay.
And I will, like I said, it does do I do video, YouTube, and then I'm on all major podcasting platforms. So I will send you those links. I can't remember if I have a headshot for you, but if I don't, if you could send me one so I can make the graphics, and I'll send you those as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. It was great meeting you. I really enjoyed it. Maybe sometime if we're in the same neck of the woods at the same time, we can meet up.
That would be amazing. I would love that.
That would be super cool. Well, thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you so much.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.